videos and theories from all over the internet that's going to make you rethink everything. Let's just start.
Terrifying facts that will save your life. There are people who are trained to abduct and erase your existence. Some criminal organizations hire specialists who can quickly erase all digital traces of a person. This can include removing them from records, social media, or even surveillance footage. These people are skilled in making you disappear completely out of the face of the earth. No traces left behind.
What? This is serious.
Always lock down your online presence. This can include using strong passwords, encryption, or strong privacy settings. Always regularly monitor your digital footprints and be wary of what you do online. And always remove yourself from broker sites to prevent tracking or exploitation. If you're ever walking in a secluded or poorly lit area in the middle of the night and you start to feel an unsettling presence, do not look behind you. If you ever feel like someone is following you, chances are someone is. Always have an escape route in mind. This can include knowing where the nearest building and nearest populated area is. If you're ever in this situation, never ever show fear in the slightest. Walk confidently as if you're not alone. The more you act like a target, the more you will become one. If you ever find an item in your house that doesn't belong to you, do not touch it. This could be a sign that someone has been in your home while you weren't. Always act quickly. Do not try to look for any other signs or try to investigate. That one sign is enough. Lock all doors and windows, gather anything that is valuable or important, and leave immediately. This might seem harmless, but the longer you stay, the more vulnerable you are to whoever placed the item there. Stay safe.
Anyone tell me
that was
why
scary.
there are creatures on this planet that are completely not living by the laws of nature?
Okay, so cats will eat their own babies when they get sick. Ducks will eat each other if they get bored enough. Penguins will fuck the dead bodies of other penguins. Otters also fuck dead bodies, but not of the same species. Prosthesis monkeys will wiggle their dicks at each other because they think it's funny. And a dolphin will commit
That's
literally
funny.
any crime that you can think of without hesitation. So to everyone over the past year who commented humans have done all of these before, no shit, Sherlock. It's kind of the reason that laws against all of these behaviors exist, because we know that there's people that want to do them, and a lot of other people don't want them to do them, so we put things in place to tell them there's consequences for doing these things. So the point of the video was, why would you want to live in a world where people can do whatever they want with no guaranteed consequence? And some people thought it was a point worth bringing up, that people will still do these despite laws being in place, and it's like, no shit. That's why there's laws in place. The general goal behind societal laws is usually to make it so others can't take advantage of others. Recent years would have you think otherwise. Claire Sander. Oh yeah, and people who commented that there was no penguin when I pointed at the penguin in my original video, are you blind?
Nope, we were never supposed to see this, as world-ending biblical structures are coming out of hiding and everything we know about religion and science is all changing. People were terrified after archaeologists in Turkey found archaeological evidence showing proof that the Bible is actually real and that the world
the Bible
could
is
face a
real.
supernatural biblical ending with the date potentially already set. The Bible mentions one of the last locations Noah's Ark was left in was Turkey, and after archaeologists went there, they were terrified to discover a 515 feet creepy structure that was identical to the Bible's ark that was buried deep underground. With the terrifying 3D scan done on site, researchers were able to see an actual human-made boat under the ground, with marine equipment and food found inside, as well as several other internal measurements lining up exactly to what the Bible detailed, and even showing artifacts like rivet and petrified deck timber, which are only materials that were used to build boats in ancient times, making people terrified at how this would be documented otherwise in the Bible before scientists even knew this boat existed.
Witchcraft is through intercourse. You do not know who you're lying with, what they practice at home, what their parents practice at home, their family lineage. You don't have a clue. And for you to lie there with someone consistently, different person, day after day, do you know how much trauma
This is
and,
really
and
scary.
attacks and spiritual attacks that you are
It
gaining?
sounds true. It's so scary.
This is breaking news from around the world that you definitely have not heard of. In southern China, a perfectly preserved embryo was found inside a fossilized dinosaur egg. It dates back 72 to 66 million years ago and sheds light on the link between dinosaurs and modern birds. From head to tail, it measures 27 centimeters or 10.63 inches. NASA announced that its Parker Solar Probe was the first Minecraft to ever touch the sun by flying through its corona or upper atmosphere. Here are images that it took that were transformed into a 13-second time-lapse of what it looks like on the surface.
Truly, I don't believe
First
this.
true millipede has just been discovered in Australia. Scientists named it Eumillipes persephone and is said to live 200 feet underground, has no eyes, and 1,306 legs.
The devil is actually more comfortable hanging out in church than a bar. He was raised in a pretty holy place. He would prefer to go to church than a witch hunt or a group of witches. He already has them. He's after the genius that God wants to manifest through his people. And actually, because if you manifest the wisdom and the life of God, actually somebody who doesn't know him, who's doing what you do, it draws them in.
The scariest bird sounds in the world. Shoebill.
Shoebill. Like a gun. This is crazy.
Lyrebird.
Lyrebird. Like a baby. A baby crying. Crazy. What?
Cassowary.
Cassowary. Cassowary. This is creepy. Yeah, this is so creepy. Looks nice. I like the color. So nice. The patterns.
White bellbird.
It sounds so
This
real.
story comes out of Missouri. There was this man named Phil, and he said this one weekend, him and his wife decided to go camping in the Ozarks. They had this area that they would go to, which was a friend's property, and they had kind of set up like this cleared area where they could camp for the weekend. So they go there, they set up their tents and everything, and he's enjoying his time with his wife. Well, he said later that night they go to bed and they are in their tent when he just like has this really bad dream. And in the dream, there is something like running through the woods and it's chasing him. And he said all of a sudden this thing turns and it starts going after his wife. And then boom, he wakes up. And
you know, for a second I didn't see that skeleton at her side. I just saw
his wife was gone. She wasn't in the tent. So he starts freaking out like what's going on? Like, where's my wife? So he got up.
I just freaked out when I saw the skeleton.
Goes outside of the tent. And he starts yelling for his wife. She's not responding. So he goes off in the woods and he's looking around for her, yelling her name. And then in the corner of his eye, he sees something moving in the woods. So he goes in that direction and there's his wife. And she's just standing in the woods, like looking up at the sky.
That's so creepy.
So Philip is like, hey, what are you doing out in the woods? Like, you had me scared. Like, I thought something happened to you. And she's like, oh, everything's okay, honey. I was just outside catching some fresh air. And he's like, okay. Well, do you want to come back to bed? She said, yeah. So they go back to the tent and they go to sleep. And the rest of the camping trip, right, is fine. They go back home. Well, he said ever since that night, his wife was just kind of different. Like something was off about her. And he couldn't really explain it. But there was a slight change in her voice and a slight change in kind of her personality and her mannerisms. And every so often, she would look at him and give him kind of this weird smile.
What?
Just made him feel very uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, yes, of course.
Well, he said one night, him and his wife, they go to bed, and they're just laying in the bed. And he said all of a sudden, his wife, her voice, like, changed. And she started saying, like, I'm gonna get you, Phil, I'm gonna get you.
What?
And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I'm gonna get you. I'm taking you back to the woods. And he's like, what's going on? And he said all of a sudden she jumped on top of him and started holding him down. And she was shaking him and up in his face, like yelling all kinds of swear words at him. And he said, like, he couldn't figure out how she had this much strength, because she normally wasn't like a very strong person, but she was fully holding him down. He couldn't get up out of bed. And
what?
He said all of a sudden, like, he pushed her and she kind of like fell backwards onto the bed. And he said the next thing he knows, he sees this light leave her body and then go out the hallway. He hears the front door open and then close. And this wind kind of just blew through the house. And then he said everything was silent. And his wife was like, what's going on, honey? And she was like normal again. And she was completely confused about what had happened, and she couldn't remember anything up to that point when they had went on the camping trip. And he felt like something had taken over his wife.
Rare photos. The opening ceremony of the 1980 Moscow Olympic Games. This precariously balanced rock near Searchlight, Nevada has been sitting like this for over 10,000 years. The dark side of the moon caught by NASA's Climate Observatory. The power of a tornado. A Chinese millionaire began selling cans of fresh air for 80 cents a can in response to China's worsening air pollution and made over $6 million. The knife angel stands 27 feet tall and is made from 100,000 knives
feet tall and 100,000 knives.
The inventor of the Super Soaker water gun. The Victoria water lily is the strongest leaf in the world, capable of holding up a human. This is what Albert Einstein's desk looked like the day he died. North Sentinel Island is home to the Sentinelese people, one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world. A famous photograph of a little girl turning away from the loom to the window. This picture became a symbol of the struggle against child labor. Children living in Siberia getting UV light exposure during the long, dark winter months.
The Simpsons predict no internet on December 15th, 2024.
That was a lie. There was internet.
Logging into her school's virtual debate competition, but the connection drops. Bart's online
that was a lie.
Freezes. Homer's favorite TV streaming service crashes, and Marge's video chat.
I was using my internet, and I was using my internet.
Brockman then announces breaking news: a major undersea cable failure has wiped out the internet in Springfield. Chaos takes over. Businesses that rely on online orders.
There's a lie.
Students can't do homework, and Quickie Mart struggles with Apu shouting, "No credit cards, cash only." But then something surprising happens. Kids start playing outside, riding bikes, and climbing trees. Marge organizes a community event where neighbors actually talk to each other.
But I miss these days where people come out to play. Like, you see a lot of kids outside.
Reassuring
there's something really weird that happens when a lot of these people are receiving awards. They're always saying, thank you for this award, but we're going to give credit to Beyonce. The reason why they're doing that is because Beyonce is a master witch. We also have Beyonce's ex-drummer who accused her of doing extreme witchcraft. She's like at the very top of the range. And so she actually has all of these people in chains spiritually. It's so weird if you look at these clips. They're all extremely afraid of receiving honor for the award. And they always give it to Beyonce. Even Kanye West, the most viral moment, he takes the mic from Taylor Swift and he's like, I gotta give it to Beyonce, who is the greatest of all time. And that went viral because it was so weird. He literally snatched the mic from her. People don't understand this is all spiritual. We're not making this up. This is stuff that you're not being told. This is stuff that's being hidden from you. Because if you actually knew that these celebrities were witches and warlocks and worshiping Satan, you wouldn't buy their stuff anymore. The only way that Satan can advance his agenda is if it's all hidden. Even people who are not saved, even people who are not Christian, the Bible says that the law of God has been written on our hearts like a tablet. People will naturally gravitate away towards satanic evil if they know it's actually in front of them.
This is the face of a man that knows he's about to die. So if you didn't know, this guy's name is Nicholas Mavelli, and he was a professional freediver. Basically, freediving is an extreme sport where people dive as deep as possible on a single breath, usually without any scuba gear. So this tragic story starts at a freediving competition in the Bahamas, where Mavoli decides that he's going to go for the world record dive of 236 feet below the surface. So Mavoli starts his dive. It takes him 2 minutes to reach the bottom, and then 2 minutes to come back up, which is dangerously fast. However, once he resurfaced, Mavoli signaled to the judges that everything was fine. But this was short-lived, as Mavoli suddenly began acting incredibly distressed. He couldn't breathe and he quickly passed out. See, apparently, without even realizing it, the quick change in pressure from the dive crushed Mavoli's lungs, causing him to fill with fluid
so
and basically drowning him from the inside. Ultimately, Mavoli succumbed to his injuries shortly after this disturbing photo was taken. His story stands as a tragic reminder that just because you're good at something does not mean you should be doing it.
Well, the reptilians that were working on the projects I was involved with were very intelligent. They didn't have much of a personality. They're very direct, very robust. Not to be funny, but they kind of look like a Sleestack on the Land of the Lost, the old version. And they stand, very erect, and they do have the same type of toes and hands that you would see on the insectoids, or like a three-toed, three-prong hand, but very dexterous, very ambidextrous and dexterous. They could grab things just like we do, and they're very strong for their size. You may see one anywhere from 6 to 10 feet tall.
What?
They don't have any snout. They have a regular, like, human face, scaly, but very large eyes, twice the size of our eyes, with pupils like us, not the slits you see in the movies. It's under my understanding that these might be hybrid human reptilians that were...
Grandma left me this before she passed.
Oh my god, you have to watch this. Check this out. Wow. Is that a note?
Open, I want to see. Okay. Miss you so much.
Okay. Interesting. What is that?
Is it a paper towel?
Okay. Wow.
Man, how will you know you have to open it?
Right?
And use a UV light.
Amazing.
Anton LaVey, the scary
That's a good grandma.
was the founder of the Church of Satan. This was his final words before he died. Watch this.
He was on his deathbed, and for a Satanist at the time of death, it's a great victory for them, because death is a huge thing that they celebrate. And he was getting ready to die and pass on his powers and that. And on his deathbed, he must have got some revelation or an angelic appearance or something. And he went into shock and he said, oh my, what have I done? He said, there's something very wrong. There's something very wrong.
Let's to say if she trusted our Lord Jesus Christ
his whole life had been
fully and wholly.
Organizations for Satanism. And then at the end of his life, he gets this light that comes to him, and everything that he built, he realized was wrong.
Simpsons predicts the U.S. will be in trouble in 2025. Part 2. As weeks pass, Springfield's situation only worsens. With no power, the town becomes a shadow of itself. People fight over dwindling resources, and small groups form to protect what little they have.
This is like
Homer,
COVID.
who once took everything for granted, tries to become the leader of a small survival group. However, his attempts are more chaotic than helpful, leading to laughter in the middle of the crisis. Meanwhile, Lisa, always ahead of her time, starts researching and finding solutions to the power outages, but her ideas are often ignored. Marge, trying to keep the family together, organizes a small community garden in their backyard. As food becomes scarcer, the family must rely on each other more than ever before. One evening, just as things seem to settle, the mysterious drone returns. This time, it drops a strange package in the middle of the town square. As the townspeople gather around, they...
Have you been seeing this man all over your feed doing weird activities, and then at the end of the activities, he would say, "I'm LeBron James hairline"? Well, I think I know why he's doing it, and I think he's actually a genius, and he's trying to tell us something. Now, if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, just watch this clip.
Strawberry lemonade Sprite. I'm LeBron James hairline. Want some strawberry lemonade Sprite? LeBron James hairline.
Now, you're probably sitting here thinking like, yo, this dude's insane. He lost his mind. And when I first saw this, I thought that too until I went into the comment section. And I saw this comment right here. It says, "Unc is creating new technology." And something in my brain just snapped. I need you to remember this is very important. My brain took me back to when I was a kid and I used to do research into the CIA. And if you did not know, one of the things in the CIA that they did back in the day was MK Ultra. And if you do your research, some people that got MK Ultra, like when they came out, their mind was fractured. And you may be asking me, what does that have to do with Unc? Like, what does Unc have to do with the CIA? This comment said, "Thank you for your service." So I was like, oh, he probably was in the military. He knew too much. They threw him in the CIA, MK Ultra. Now let's get back to this. Unc was not creating his own technology game. He's creating his own language. Now this is why I said this was important. And I feel like if we don't decipher this soon, bro, something terrible is going to happen.
I got a spooky story time from a woman named Amara who told me for a 3-month period in 2022, she was receiving late night phone calls from her own number. And when she started answering, the caller would reveal very intimate personal details about her own life. The first few times the number popped up, it was around 2 a.m, and she didn't answer because she thought it was spam. But one night she was
creepy details.
Michael at her apartment when the number popped up again, and she was half asleep, but she decided to answer. So she answers. She says hello. There is a clicking noise, and then this whispering, creepy, robotic voice says, "Do you value your own self-worth, Amara?" And she says, "Who is this?" And the caller hangs up. She wakes up Michael. He tells her it was probably just a prank and just to go back to sleep. She and Michael had been dating about 3 months. It was a long-distance relationship. They had met at the Denver airport. Amara lived in Maryland, and she was in Colorado for a girls' trip, so she was grabbing a drink at the bar while waiting for her flight, and this man sat down next to her. He was getting a drink. They got to talking. He was going out of town for work. He was also waiting for his flight. He was going to a different city, but he told her he was going to be in Maryland in the next month for work, so they exchanged numbers. He tells her he's going to take her out to dinner when he gets to Maryland. They text a little bit here and there, nothing too serious. He's polite, he's funny, and she enjoys texting with him. He shows up in Maryland about a month later. He says, "Do you still want to grab dinner?" She says yes. They go out, they hit it off, they have a great time. While at dinner, he tells her basically that he travels all the time for work, but he's in Maryland pretty frequently. And he also tells her that he has an 8-year-old daughter. She's like, "Oh, what about your baby mama?" He's like, "Oh, like that was a long time ago. Like everything's cool. I've been single." Dinner ends, they go their separate ways, but they continue texting, and he's back the next month. And the next time he comes, they pretty much spend all of his free time while he's there together. He indicates before he leaves that he wants to take their relationship a step further, and she's down with it. She likes it. And the long distance relationship actually works for her because she is a self-described workaholic. She doesn't have a lot of free time, and dating in her city just wasn't really working out for her. So her relationship with Michael was beneficial because she didn't have to worry about spending all this time that she didn't have with somebody in her city. Also, Michael was like very sweet, like words of affirmation guy. He's always texting her about how beautiful she is, how he can't wait to see her next. And one day he's texting her while she's at work, and he's like, "I'm gonna plan us a surprise trip the following weekend." She's like, "Oh my God, that's so exciting. Where are we going?" He's like, "I'm not telling you. It's gonna be really nice, really relaxing. Bring some nice clothes. We're gonna get massages. It'll just be a really, really nice weekend." So she's all excited. He tells her he's gonna fly into Maryland a day early so he can spend the night with her before they go on this trip. 3 nights before he arrives, she gets the first phone call from her own number. She's confused when she looks at it, but she figures it was just like a spam caller spoofing her own number, so she ignores it. They call again the next night. The next night he flies in, they go to dinner, they have a really nice night, and they're sleeping at her apartment when she gets the phone call that she answered when the caller asks if she values her own self-worth. So when that happens, Michael tells her it's just a prank, and she's a little bit creeped out, but she's like, "You know what, he's probably right. Like, I'm not going to give that much thought to it." She goes to sleep. She's all excited for their trip the next day. They fly out, they go to this really nice spot. She didn't say where they went, but she said it was a very cute, small mountain town. On the trip, Michael is talking about how much he likes her, how beautiful she is, how much he values her work ethic, and he says that he can see long-term potential and that maybe eventually he could consider moving to Maryland because his company has an office there. And Amara's just stoked. She was not looking for a relationship, but this is just like a pleasant surprise, and she is really feeling him. He flies back to Maryland with her. They spend one more night, and she's really sad when he has to go home the next day. The next day, Amara goes to work, and while she's at work, she receives a flower delivery, and the bouquet is primarily lilies. And Amara has a severe flower allergy, and lilies are one of the flowers that upsets her. So she doesn't want to seem unappreciative, but she calls Michael later that day and she's like, "Hey, that bouquet was so nice, but just so you know, I'm really allergic to lilies." And he's like, "Okay, that's good to know, but I didn't send you flowers." And then she said she felt stupid because she was just assuming that he sent her flowers when he didn't. So she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I guess there wasn't a card on there. Like, whatever. I just assumed that you did." And he was like, No, honestly, like, I should have sent you flowers after that nice weekend we had." So she just assumes the flowers were sent by like a client or something. She doesn't give it that much thought. Michael wasn't supposed to be back in Maryland for about 2 more months. months, and she was really bummed about it. She would text him. She'd be like, hey, like, if you have a spare weekend or something, you know, maybe you could fly down or I could fly there. And he was just like, oh, like, these are all bad weekends. Like, I have my daughter, this and that. So she was trying to deal with it because she signed up for a long distance relationship, you know, but she was just so excited after that spa trip that it was a little bit disappointing. And during the 2 months that led up to Michael coming back to town, she would get more frequent late night phone calls around 2 a.m. from her own number. And she wasn't really connecting the dots because Michael was there the first night that she answered, so she knew it wasn't him. But she really did just think it was a prank because the messages at first were ominous. They were just like, do you think you're a good person? Do you value yourself? Do you think you're beautiful? But then she really started to get creeped out when they became more detailed and more personal. In one instance, she answered the phone and there was a clicking, and then the robotic voice said, I saw the blue blouse you were wearing at work yesterday. Why did you stay late?
What?
So at that point, she knew that the caller was watching her. So that one really scared her. So she calls Michael in the morning, she tells him, and he's like, I really think it's just one of your coworkers or somebody like playing a joke on you. She's like, okay, well, I would really appreciate it if you could help me get to the bottom of this. And he's like, you know what? I have my daughter today. I just really don't have the extra time to be dealing with your perceived problems. So she's like mad at him. She's like, that was rude. And like, she hangs up the phone on him. Before bed, she thinks about it and she's like, you know what? I am being kind of selfish. Like, he doesn't get a lot of time with his daughter. So when he does, I don't want to like interrupt it. And she decides that she's going to call him in the morning and apologize. So that night she goes to sleep, but then she gets another phone call. And this time when she answers, the caller asks if she thinks Michael's daughter knows about her. So when she hangs up the call, she calls Michael immediately. She's like, this is too weird. I need to get to the bottom of this right now. She calls him, his phone goes straight to voicemail. She tries him again at like 6, 7, 8 in the morning, and finally he answers. He's like, what's up? She tells him what the caller said, and he blows up on her. He's like, why are you bringing my daughter into this? Like, this is weird. I don't like this. I don't think I can do this with you. She's like, I'm not bringing your daughter into it. Like, whoever is watching me is. And he tells her, you know what? I don't know if I want to see you this weekend when I'm there. I gotta go. So they don't talk for 3 days until that weekend when he's supposed to be back in town after 2 months of not seeing him. The whole thing did not sit right with her, so she's texting him. He's ignoring all her texts until that Saturday night when he texts her, hey, I'm sorry for how I acted. Would you want to meet up with me? She's like, yeah, come over. She said that she at least wanted closure if they were gonna break up. So he comes over. They get to talking. He tells her he's sorry and that he's just had some stress trying to balance like work and his relationship with his daughter and his relationship with her. They hook up, they go to sleep at her house. She gets a call that night at 2 a.m. and the caller says, look at the man sleeping next to you. He's not who he seemed. The caller hangs up. Immediate alarm bells. She's freaking out. She hits him. She wakes him up. She's like, get up. She tells him what the caller said, and Michael sits up in bed. He's like, all right, I gotta come clean about something. My ex is psychotic. She's crazy. She is probably stalking me.
What?
I thought you and your baby mama were cool. He's like, not really. Like, we split up like 2 years ago, and she's just been like kind of stalking my life ever since. She probably figured out about you, and now she's just like tormenting me through you. He's like, I'll get it figured out. Don't worry about it. Just go back to sleep. But Amara is mad that he lied to her, so they spend the rest of the night fighting. He ends up leaving her apartment at like 4 a.m. and going to a hotel. Amara decides after that night she is done with him. She can't trust him. She doesn't want anything to do with him. So she blocks his number and she's done with it. A few days later, she gets a package in her apartment complex mailroom and she goes to grab it. She doesn't know who it's from. She didn't order anything. And it's addressed to her. So she takes it upstairs. She opens it up. And it's a bunch of photographs of her in various places around her city, some with Michael. Underneath all of the photographs is a copy of his marriage license with a note that says, you were just another layover. Congratulations, you can have him. I'm taking him for all he's worth in this divorce. So all of the late night phone calls were his wife. He had hired a private investigator to track them. So Amara said that she never actually got in contact with the wife. She never talked to Michael again, but she assumes that there were others. She also doesn't know if the wife is the one that sent her lilies because she doesn't know how the wife would know about her lily allergy, except for a post she made on Instagram back in like 2017. Amara ended her email by saying, ladies, be careful. Know who you're talking to, do your homework, and Google someone before you just take their word for everything. Amara said she didn't want to be tagged, but that is her real name. She said I could use it, and Michael was his real name as well. She said she didn't want to be tagged because she didn't want people to drag her in the comments for seeing a married man, even though she didn't know. Keep sending me your spooky, scary stories. I'll keep adding them to this playlist.
Camera picked this up around 8 p.m. last night. Very unsettling to see. Luckily, the dogs seemed to scare it off.
It's a weird creature. Storm on Earth, an alien. Look at the face. Eesh. What is he looking for? Food? Do they eat what we eat? I'm trying to look at the fingers, how it looks like.
One evening, a teenage girl came home from school and she found the house empty. Her mother had left a sticky note on the fridge. It said her father was working late, her mother was out shopping, and her younger brothers were at soccer practice.
Okay.
She was alone in the house. The girl locked the front door just in case. Then she put her mobile phone on the hall table, hung her keys on a hook, and went upstairs to her bedroom to change clothes. As she was getting undressed, she saw a sticky note on her bed. She picked it up and looked at the message. It read, "There's someone in the house."
Oh my god.
Oh, this is creepy.
Jumping straight at the I'm already gone.
She assumed it was her younger brothers playing a trick on her, so she crumpled up the note. "Very funny, guys," she said. "What happened? Did you two miss soccer practice?" No one answered. "I know you're here," she yelled. "If I find out you two went through my stuff again, you're dead." The girl went downstairs to the kitchen to fix herself a snack. When she opened the fridge, she saw another note. It read, "There's nobody here but you and me."
What? This is
She dropped the note and
creepy.
said, "Hey guys, this isn't funny anymore. Stop it." There was no answer. The girl
Stop
went to the
it.
front door and tried the knob, but it was locked. She turned around to get her keys, but the hook she'd hung them on was empty. Then the girl glanced down at the hall table and saw that her mobile phone had disappeared as well.
What?
On the table, there was another sticky note. It read, "You're not going anywhere." Bitch, I'm going.
Absolutely, I'm out.
She picked it up and called the police, but there was no dial tone. She grabbed the phone line, and to her horror, she realised it had been cut. There was another note lying by the phone. It read, "No phone, no police, no way out."
What was going on?
Trembling with fear, the girl ran to the back door. When she tried to turn the handle, she found it was also locked. Just then, she spotted another note stuck to the back door. It read, "Look up."
What?
The whole time? No. I would never look up. Never look up. No, you can't make me.
So she looked up and saw her pet cat speared through the heart
What?
and to the ceiling.
Don't fuck with the cat.
It's not on really, is it? She screamed in terror and ran to the nearest window. She tried punching and kicking it, but she couldn't smash the glass. It wouldn't even crack. There was a sticky note on the window. It read, "You can't catch a break, can you?" The frightened girl desperately tried to think of what she should do. She needed a knife to defend herself. She ran to the kitchen, but when she pulled out the drawer, it was empty. All of the knives were gone, and in their place was another sticky note.
Another fucking post-it.
It read, "Children shouldn't play with sharp things." She ran upstairs to her bedroom and locked the door. She checked inside the closet and under the bed. There was nobody there. She breathed a sigh of relief. Then all of a sudden, the TV turned on by itself.
What?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It was loud and static, and on the screen she found another note. It read, "Now I have you where I want you." The girl flew into a panic and started yelling and screaming, "Help, help, someone help me!" Just then she remembered her laptop. She flipped open the lid and quickly sent an email to her best friend. "Help, this is not a joke. Call the cops. There's someone in my house." Minutes later, she heard the sound of sirens outside. The police arrived and broke down the front door. 2 officers burst into her bedroom and found her cowering in the corner, shaking and quivering with fear. The police searched the entire house from top to bottom, examining every nook and cranny, but they found no one. As the officers were interviewing her, one of them spotted a sticky note attached to her back.
Saying what?
He pulled it off and handed it to her. It read, "I was this close."
What?
No. No, absolutely
no,
not.
I'm very traumatized.
Absolutely not.
That's horrible, isn't it? Isn't that
What?
As
That
all
was
neighbors
good,
finish
man.
up the reel, one relative begins to record, but as he pans the camera around the room, he captures this.
This is creepy. What?
There appears to be someone by the poolside, just watching the family from a distance. However, they don't appear to be moving. While it might be that a guest was enjoying their evening by the pool, given that this dinner was taking place at a hotel, something about them seems strange. Zooming in, it looks like they're completely still and seems like their mouth is the only part that's moving. The person recording this immediately stopped filming upon noticing this unusual behavior. Its pale complexion was already enough to spook them. To this day, the relative who took this has no idea who or what was outside the hotel room that they were eating at.
Let me tell you something. One time I thought my wife was cheating on me.
Yes. Dave Chappelle.
That was one of the worst days of my fucking life. I couldn't take it. And I'm embarrassed about it now, but I can talk about it. You know what I did? It's fucked up, but I did do this. I waited. I waited for her to fall asleep. And when I waited a long time, she's Asian. I couldn't tell if she was asleep or not. I was looking at her. When I was sure she was asleep, you know what I did? I stole the iPhone, took it downstairs and started trying out passwords to see if I could open it. I couldn't figure out the password. Then I remembered it's iPhone. This shit has facial recognition. I was just like, oh. And that shit opened right up.
Beauty standards in different countries. Japan. Youthful appearance. Brazil. Curvy body.
Yeah.
Germany. Blonde hair and blue eyes. India.
She looks pretty.
Big eyes.
Oh.
France.
Never knew.
Natural beauty.
Natural
Canada.
beauty.
Radiant skin.
Oh, great.
Philippines.
That's nice.
Slim nose. Nigeria. Fuller lips. Mexico.
Fuller lips.
Long hair.
Okay.
Officers finally enter the apartment, but nothing can prepare them for the horror that awaits them inside.
That's not your walker, is it? That's a weird walker.
No, my walker's right there.
Oh, I thought you were going for your walker.
What's happening?
I fell over that damn thing the other night, hurt my shoulder.
Oh no, you need any medical attention or anything we can help you with?
No, ain't nothing I can do about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna drag that off in the hallway and fold it up and get rid of it.
Okay. Do you mind if we just look through real quick and then we'll be out of here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I appreciate it. I'm just gonna try and not get too much in your way. Well, that would make me 5. I don't know if I want to be 5 again. Oh boy, take him into custody, Rourke.
What?
Put your hands behind your back, Keith.
Nobody
What do you
realized
see?
that Denzel Washington had already warned us to stay away from Jay-Z with a creepy move long ago. While everyone was focusing on whether the accusations against Jay-Z were true or not, Denzel Washington had already warned us of the truth. In 2023, Denzel Washington and Jay-Z appeared together on the sidelines of an NBA game. When Jay-Z walked towards Denzel Washington to greet him, unexpectedly, he was not only rejected by Denzel, but also pushed away forcefully by him, leaving Jay-Z standing there at a loss. In fact, this wasn't the first time there had been conflicts between the two. As Jay-Z was a good friend of Diddy's, Washington had been dissatisfied with him for a long time. Back in 2003, Denzel Washington and his wife were invited by Jay-Z to attend Diddy's white party. At the party, Washington witnessed some things that made people feel disgusted. He even roared at Diddy on the spot, "You don't respect anyone." Then he left angrily. Since then, he had been even more reluctant to have any dealings with Diddy and Jay-Z's group. Perhaps Washington's actions back then were warning us to stay away from Jay-Z.
Facts will definitely save your life. There are places where screaming is practically useless, or you shouldn't even scream at all. Deeply remote areas like the ocean, the mountains, rainforests, Caves are known as dead zones because nobody can hear you scream. Countless missing people vanish in these areas specifically every single year. Always carry GPS trackers or emergency beacons in isolated areas. And never go alone in these areas without telling someone you trust. Your organs are worth a fortune. This is not an urban legend. The black market organ trade is very real. And many victims of kidnappings who have survived have often been found with their organs surgically removed. You are worth more dead than alive to the right people. Never ever travel alone in high-risk areas and always be aware of your surroundings. Dead bodies always float face down in the water. If you're ever in a secluded area and you find a so-called dead body in the water, always know this rule of nature. If someone claims that they found a drowning victim, but the body floating is faced up, they might be lying. Always be cautious of those around you in such scenarios. They might be hiding something. A dead body always floats naturally face down due to buoyancy. Stay safe.
There was a girl who couldn't leave her room every October 10th of the year.
Why October 10th?
And this is why. So the mom, whenever the date came, she would mark it on the calendar. She would circle it. She would highlight it. Make sure that her kid was in her room with no windows and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And she never told her kid why. Right. And whenever she had school on that day, or if she had to do something else that day, she's like, nope, you're not allowed to leave the house.
Yeah.
Right? So every year, both of them would, on October 10th, they would lock themselves in a room with no windows, right? And every year, fam, you would hear someone ring the doorbell on the house.
Yeah.
Right? But the mom obviously is with the child. So she's like, no, we're staying in this room, right? Do never, like she told her kid, like, please do not ever do this, right? And as soon as October midnight hits and October 11th comes, the knocking, the ringing of the doorbell disappears.
But why that day? Like what?
Exactly. Trust me, it's building up. So one day, her mom had to go on like a work trip.
Yeah.
Right? And the kid already knew October 10th, I'm gonna lock myself in that room and not do anything.
She knows the drill.
She knows the drill already. So that day comes, right? The kid, she hears the knocking. Knock, knock, knock. She hears the ringing of the doorbell. And this is her first time without her mom. So she's like, fuck, I think I'm gonna just go and see what it is. Cause her mom never told her what it was. So goes down the stairs. She's about to open the door. She hears the doorbell ringing one more time.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't.
She opens the door and she's face to face with like a tall, skin peeling, skeleton woman.
Yeah.
And she has her mouth open like this, all the way wide, and she's pointing at the child, right?
Yeah.
You know how smart rats are? If you leave poison in a rat tunnel, the rats will get a young, stupid rat to go eat the poison. It's like, hey man, look at that food. The old rats will sit back and watch, and the young rat goes over, starts eating the poison, and they go, yep, thought so, and they take off. There's videos of rats setting rat traps with sticks. Watch this. They set up a rat trap, and this rat walks over and picks up a stick, drops it on the rat trap so it can get the cheese. Like, it knows how to set that thing off, and it didn't even flinch. That's how fucking smart they are.
Never drinking Sprite after seeing this.
What kind of experiment is this one? Okay, then what? I love Sprite though. I really love Sprite, so I want to see what this experiment is about. So is it about the gas? Because I'm confused. Is it about the gas? What's it about? Right? Did you like the end of the video? Because man, these videos were so nice. I really enjoyed myself watching them, and I hope you did too. You can leave a comment in the comment section down below the video that intrigued you so much, and then again, you can also help me with suggestions of videos that I should react to the next time we do this. My handles are underneath the the video. Yes, so don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post, you will be the first to get it. Adios amigos, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.